Senior Alexia Sotomayor challenges our perceptions of limitations, showing how navigating setbacks in her Olympic journey reveals the power of seeing differently.
From day one, there were a lot of things I could not control. And trust me, I hated that. As a kid, I wanted to control everything. What we had for dinner, how late I could stay up, whether or not I really had to do my math homework. I believed if I just tried hard enough, I could take control of everything. That belief followed me into the pool, because I'm a swimmer, but not just any swimmer, a competitive one on the international stage. The kind that wakes up at 4:30 in the morning to jump into freezing water and chases hundredths of a second like they're gold. Every turn, every stroke, every breath, it is all about precision. And as a backstroker, there was one more thing I had to take control of: direction. Backstroke is the only swimming event where you race completely on your back. You can't see where you're going. You have to rely on the ceilings, the lane lines, and the flags, unless, of course, you're outside in an outdoor pool. Then, the ceiling, gone. The sky, a vast, empty nothingness. No reference points. No way to know if you're even going straight. For any backstroker, that's a challenge. But for me, it's a nightmare, because I literally can't see half of what's happening. I was born with unilateral vision. I can only see out of one eye. No depth perception, no peripheral vision on my left side. If you wave at me from over there and I don't wave back, I'm not rude, I just didn't see you. But not seeing everything forced me to see differently, and that changed everything. Because in life, the biggest obstacles, they aren't the ones you can't see. They're the ones you refuse to see. And the most dangerous thing we refuse to see is how often we give up control over our own lives. For me, that lesson hit the hardest in 2021, the Junior Pan American Games in Colombia, a critical race on my path to the Olympics. One dive in, and my knee dislocates. I had to keep going, but every single of my strokes was agony. I kept hitting the lane line over and over. The pain, it wasn't just physical. It was from realizing that in that moment, I had lost control. I spent 6 months at a competition. My comeback, an outdoor pool, once again. That time, it wasn't just the pool I feared. It was myself, my own limitations. That fear blinded me more than my eye ever could. By 2023, the Olympics were in reach. I was ready, physically at my best, but mentally, I was lost. Because I was chasing something so hard, I stopped seeing what actually mattered. Instead of focusing in my own race, I was obsessing over everything I could not control, what my competitors would do, or if the conditions were good or bad, searching for excuses instead of solutions. And when I didn't qualify for the Paris 2024 Olympics, it felt like I had lost everything. But I wasn't alone in this mistake. We all do it. We fixate in one outcome. We think happiness comes when we land that job, when we get that acceptance letter, when we hit that number, that milestone, that title. But what happens when we don't? If our entire identity is tied to one definition of success, failing to reach it means losing ourselves. And that is one race that none of us can win. And you don't need bad eyesight to be blind. Let's talk about vision. Not the kind you get from your eyes, but the kind that allows you to see differently. Composer Ludwig van Beethoven was completely deaf, but he didn't stop composing. He heard sound in a different way, in a way nobody else could. Jim Abbott was a one-handed pitcher in the Major League Baseball. You would all think that was a huge disadvantage, right? Except that it wasn't. His condition confused batters. They could not figure out his timing. Athlete and adventurer Eric Weihenmayer was completely blind, and yet he climbed the Mount Everest, not because he could see, but because he had learned how to navigate differently. They didn't succeed despite their challenges. They succeeded because of them, because they learned to see differently. So now, I asked myself, what if my greatest obstacle wasn't my vision? What if it was in the way I was looking at success? For me, my blindness wasn't only in my eye, it was in the way I looked at competition. I thought success was about beating someone else, about winning. But when you only see the race in front of you, or half of it, you lose sight of your own lane. But by the time I realized all of this, Paris 2024 was gone. And that, for a while, felt like the end. I thought not making it meant I had failed. Except it wasn't. That was my starting point. Because I wasn't done, I was just starting to see. But what does this mean for all of you? How do you take control when life feels so overwhelming? Author Ryan Holiday said something that pulled me out of a really dark place. You control how you play. Not the opponent, not the scoreboard, not the conditions. Just how you play the game. And this applies to everything. You don't control whether you get the job. You control how prepared you are for the interview. You don't control how others treat you. You control how you respond. And you don't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. We waste so much energy focusing on the things we can't control. But the moment we shift that focus, the moment we see what's actually in our own hands, everything changes. Most of us are not held back by our limits. We're held back by what we refuse to see. And that is for one precise reason that I will tell you right now. Fear of losing control. We focus on what's missing instead of what we already have. We obsess over obstacles instead of seeing the opportunities inside of them. I thought my vision was my greatest advantage, but in reality, the only thing blinded me was the way I was looking at success. The moment I changed that, I changed everything. So now, I will ask all of you one last time, what are you not seeing? Because the moment you shift your perspective, you don't just change the way you see the world, you change what's possible. Thank you.